Good morning, everybody, and welcome into the Farzy Show here at the Steven Singer Studios. My name's Marc Farzetta. Today's getaway day for me. But before I get away to Colorado, and no, you people in the comment section, no, I'm not going there for anything other than a little family reunion for my wife's family, other than to ride a horse, other than to do a little fly fishing. I'd probably eat some great food, maybe some nice steaks out there. That's pretty much why I'm going out there. But appreciate everyone joining us here on the show today. Let me bring you up to speed. We're going to do a segment that we're going to do every so often on the show called Just Getting You in the Know. Just get you in the know. First thing you need to know, the world of sports is completely different than when you went to bed last night. If you went to bed early, especially, if you went to bed super duper ridiculously early, then you maybe missed Brad Miller's grand slam that walked it off against the Nationals. Then maybe missed some more Nationals news with Max Scherzer. It is a much different world than when we got off the microphone and got off the computer and got off the digital platform with you fine people just yesterday. So let's run through it all. First, I'll tell you coming up in a little bit, we're going to talk to my good friend Dave Zangaro of NBC Sports Philadelphia and the My Teams app about all the goings-on at training camp yesterday for day 2, so we'll get to that conversation. We got plenty of Sixers news. We got plenty of baseball news. And, of course, we got just crazy deals going on. Just bonkers, as I like to say. Absolute bananas. I'm going to try to calm myself down a little bit here so I can give you all the fine details. First and foremost, let's start you off with this, get you in the know with this. Yankees added Joey Gallo and Anthony Rizzo. In case you missed it, that's what happened. Red Sox get Kyle Schwarber. That happened away from the Nationals. Nationals sent Max Scherzer and Trae Young to the Dodgers. Like I said, the Phillies walked it off with a grand slam for Brad Miller. Lakers added Russell Westbrook. This is all stuff you should probably know, but in case you didn't, I got to just give this to you right now for contextual purposes. Montrezl Harrell was involved in that deal. Kyle Kuzma was involved in that deal. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and the number 22 overall pick in last night's draft. So many crazy things going on yesterday in the world of sports, including at training camp. Jalen Reagor, unfortunately, failed his endurance test, as did Dallas Goedert. So they really can't practice as of yet. But bottom line is right now, things are looking okay at Eagles training camp. And apparently, as we'll get to a little bit more in the Morning Rush segment, things are actually physical at training camp. Folks, they're not wearing pads yet. They're in shorts and shells, helmets and shorts right now. And yet things are crazy. So that got you in the know, brought you up to speed. Oh, and Ben Simmons, as I predicted, as I told you, is still a member of the Philadelphia 76ers. And you know what? That's really where we'll start things off. So yesterday, I'm perusing the internet, right? And I'm looking at all these different trade deals that are out there, and I highlighted a few for you yesterday when it came to Ben Simmons. And this is one thing. I was like, let me see what Ben Simmons is up to. Because I go on Instagram, and one of the first things in my stories is Ben Simmons. And I said, you know what? I'd love to know what Ben Simmons is up to today. We could be in the final moments of Ben Simmons as a 76er. And you know what Ben Simmons was up to, ladies and gentlemen? Well, let's take a look.
Yeah. Hi.
Chilling in the pool. Chilling in the pool. You don't have a hot stove. You don't have a hot stove in basketball. But if you did, he'd be staying cool in the pool, would be Ben Simmons. And that's what he did yesterday. Just chilled out. And you know what? Good for him. Because as I have said many times before, I don't really care what Ben Simmons is doing in the offseason. If he's going to come back as a member of the 76ers, I'd rather have the complete opposite schedule, complete opposite postings of what he does in the offseason with, oh, look, Ben Simmons shooting. Wow. Ben Simmons shooting a three. Great. Ben Simmons working out. Great. Like, okay, a professional athlete working out in the offseason. I don't care. I'm still rooting for Ben Simmons to come back as a 76er and be improved. I'm rooting for it. I ain't betting on it. So this was one of the things that was going around yesterday, courtesy of Keith Pompey of Inquirer.com. Look at this. This is just one of the latest deals that came out right before the draft got underway. The Golden State Warriors basically assumed the Sixers offer, and this is as a lot of people were guessing, was a joke. Here's the offer. Sixers asked in return for Ben Simmons, Andrew Wiggins, James Wiseman, the 7th overall pick and 14th overall pick in last night's NBA draft and 2 future firsts in exchange for Ben Simmons, according to multiple sources. The Warriors quickly turned down the offer. Yeah, no kidding. And I know a lot of people are looking at that and they're going, that's crazy talk. How could you even ask for that in return, Daryl Morey? I thought you were supposed to be some amazing executive. Daryl Morey played this great. Daryl Morey is in zero rush to trade Ben Simmons. Why? Because he doesn't have to be in any rush to trade Ben Simmons. Daryl Morey's play last night was, and not just last night, but 2 days ago with the Spurs, 3 days ago with the Toronto Raptors, where he asked for everything under the sun for Ben Simmons. He played this perfectly. Ask for the world. See if they'll give it to you. You know they probably won't, but see if they do. See if anybody on draft night maybe makes a mistake out of nervousness. Maybe they feel like they have to be rushed. Maybe they make the mistake. See if you can take advantage of anybody on draft day where they might not be thinking clearly. They might overthink it, and they might think, oh, yeah, maybe I won't give you all that. Maybe I'll just give you the 14th overall pick. Or maybe I'll give you the 7th overall pick. But I won't give you both. You put it out there. You asked for the world at a time where you could have asked for the world. And Daryl Morey said afterwards, when it came to anything regarding Ben Simmons, zip, mum was the word. Didn't want to talk about any trades. I was up. I watched the press conference with Daryl Morey last night. It was around 12:30, I think, 1 o'clock, something crazy. And he just said he wasn't going to talk about Ben Simmons, basically. Howard Eskin tried to ask him, wasn't answering the question. We'll let you hear that full thing in a second. But when it comes to everything surrounding Ben, mum was the word. When it came to other guys who they actually got in the NBA draft, well, let's talk about our man, Jaden Springer, 43.5% from the three-point line. About an 89% free throw shooter. The guy's a shooter, needs to improve his defense before you can really start talking about a 3-and-D type guy. But that's fine. You got a guard, basically. And what this told me was that if you eventually do trade Ben Simmons and you package Matisse Thybulle or you package Tyrese Maxey, then you know what? You got another guard to slide up there and hopefully take over at the same spot that those guys were able to come in as 20th overall pick, 25th overall pick, and actually contribute in this offense and defense. Contribute, give you meaningful minutes on this squad. So maybe you have that right now in a guy like Springer, if in fact you do end up making some deals for Ben Simmons down the line, which I do still think they will do. So Ben Simmons is obviously the key subject matter here. He's still a 76er. As I told you, he would be after the draft last night. He would be a 76er. He is a 76er. Here's Daryl Morey after the draft last night, not answering questions about Ben Simmons, but did answer questions about something else. Joel Embiid. Here's Daryl Morey on that after the draft.
Joel has been in the gym. He was in the gym today working on his game. He has a plan with our medical staff, and we feel good about it. And we are not concerned about him medically at all. In terms of the first question, frankly, I'm focused on the draft and the three guys excited to be here. And, we're back in the office tomorrow with the staff and have a lot of important work to do on the roster going forward.
Back in the office tomorrow, not worried about Joel Embiid's health. Those were the two things that really jumped out to me there. One, how many times are you going to hear a guy say, I'm not at all concerned about Joel Embiid's health? Next to never. All right, so a little side thing away from Ben Simmons. That's great. The other thing was getting back in the office. So Ben wasn't traded last night, but Ben's going to be traded eventually. And guess who's going to be pounding the pavement to do that? Daryl Morey. Elton Brand probably as well. Really, everybody in the Sixers front office are going to make sure they can do whatever they can to move on from Ben Simmons, because that seems to be the way they want to go here. You're not asking for the moon just to see if you could take a shot and get it. That's what you did the draft. But now, this point on, you're not doing that same thing. Now the price is going to start to come down a little bit. And I think most teams realize that. There was really the smallest fraction of a chance that they would get anything in return for Ben Simmons in terms of along the lines of what they were asking for. They knew to shoot for the moon to see if they'd get it. They didn't. Now they move on. Now the price comes down. Now you start talking more with Portland. As The Athletic just reported, that Miami, Toronto, and Washington all of a sudden are now the leading candidates to land Ben Simmons in a trade. Miami? What? Yeah, Miami. Could Jimmy Butler be part of that deal? Because certainly Ben Simmons wouldn't be teaming up with Jimmy Butler, would he? Bradley Beal in Washington, maybe with Russell Westbrook going out to Los Angeles. Maybe now he sees the light and wants to go elsewhere. I don't think he wants to go to Philadelphia. According to some of the latest reports, a little skittish about playing in Philadelphia. Maybe not for him. If he doesn't want to play in Philadelphia, does he want to win? Does he want to stay in Washington to see if Washington builds around him? All right, good luck to you there, Bradley Beal. And then the other one was Toronto, and we talked about Toronto already. They dangled out there, or the Sixers asked for the 4th overall pick that obviously they did not get compensated with in the Toronto Raptors deal. I think Kyle Lowry had to be a sign-in trade. The report there was 3 years, $90 million for Kyle Lowry, and of course, a slew of other players along in that deal as well. This is going to end eventually. But as Keith Pompey, and I highlighted it the other day, he used the word inevitable. I fully believe that it is inevitable that Ben Simmons is traded in this offseason. Again, I'm not rooting for it, but I am betting on it. And that's the way it seems like it's going to go down right now in Philadelphia, where Ben Simmons has already played his last game. Part of our social media check-in a little bit later in the show today will have to do with Ben Simmons sitting in his pool at his new $17.5 million house out there around Los Angeles. And, good for him. Ben Simmons, enjoy the spoils. My main thing and my main takeaway with the Sixers wanting to move on from Ben is exactly what I've been saying for the last couple of days here. They look at Ben Simmons as a guy that does not want to improve upon the game that he has already. And the game that he has already is pretty damn good. They just don't see him taking any extra steps when it comes to improving upon what he already has in his skill set. And that, to me, is sad in a way. And it reminds me of this thing, and I go back to this so many times in my head because I'm such a fan of the movie A Bronx Tale. And if you remember that movie with Robert De Niro, Chaz Palminteri, there's a line in the movie, there's nothing worse than wasted talent. Nothing sadder in life than wasted talent. And Ben Simmons has all the talent in the world, but it almost feels like a lot of it's wasted by not improving upon the one thing that every basketball player should have, the ability to shoot. And what's worse is Ben has that ability to shoot, but he won't. Ergo, wasted. It's great to see him play at the level that he can play at, and just to know that he can get to that next level will drive me bonkers. And if they do trade him, it'll be under the guidelines of, well, it wouldn't have happened here. If they do trade him and he does take it to that next step, it'll go under the guidelines of, well, wasn't going to happen here, unfortunately. We'll give you a little bit more on that conversation a little bit later on in the show. Plenty of stuff to get to. We'll get a lot more to the training camp stuff coming up with Dave Zangaro from NBC Sports Philadelphia and the My Teams app coming up in just a second. But there is a very interesting theme here with training camp, and Dave will touch on it as well, but I want to set it up properly here. Training camp is supposed to be chill. You're not running the two-a-days. You're not running two-a-days like you were with Andy Reid at Lehigh. Yeah, Hollis Thomas isn't bringing his great big box of erotica up there. You know what I'm saying? It's not the same anymore. It's supposed to be a country club at the NovaCare complex. Yeah, not the case. Apparently, Nick Sirianni runs a very tight ship when it comes to the competitive nature of training camp. I mean, let's not forget, this is a guy that's playing rock, paper, scissors over the Zoom calls with potential draft picks. And he's an intense guy, and he wants to learn how competitive everybody is. So Lane Johnson kind of peeled back the curtain a little bit and let us know some stuff. Miles Sanders did the same thing, let you know how competitive it was. And newly minted defensive coordinator Jonathan Gannon addressed the media yesterday, where he talked about this training camp already being rough and tough and physical. Once again, I remind you, shorts and shells, people. Let's hear first from Miles Sanders about how competitive these practices have been so far.
It's pretty competitive, as y'all can see. The energy's high. It's not too long of a practice, but it's short and real competitive, and we're getting a lot of work done. It was a good practice yesterday, but today was much better. Not a lot of drop balls or MEs by anybody, so that's a good start. Just getting 1% better every day.
All right, that makes sense, right? That makes total sense. Get 1% better every day. Nick Sirianni said it himself a couple of months ago. That's what they're going to aim to do. 1% better every day. So competitive practice. All right, fine. I remember Chip Kelly. Oh, God, I said the name. Chip Kelly said that you got to win the day. That was the thing. I remember reading a book, and some of a book, The Tao of Chip Kelly. It was written by some guy, I think, who wrote for the Oregonian or something like that, out there in Oregon. And he wrote a book, and it was called the Tao of Chip Kelly. And it was all about Chip Kelly's mantra, his mindset, and how he likes to coach a team. And one of the things in there was win the day. That was the big thing. Win the day. You win the day. You group those days together. Next thing you know, you got a whole bunch of wins. All right. Whatever. That was his mindset. So Nick Sirianni, I think, has a little bit in that and win the day, as in you can win and lose practices as members of the offense and the defense, and I'm sure special teams as well. You can win the day in Jordan Mailata versus Andre Dillard in that battle for left tackle on the Eagles' offensive line. You can win those days. You can win those practices. Nick Sirianni seems to have a lot of that same Chip Kelly mindset where you got to win every single day. You've heard Jalen Hurts with the rent is due. You've heard Devontae Smith talk about that. You've heard Lane Johnson. Lane Johnson even mentioned it yesterday as well. Rent is due every day. Here's Lane Johnson talking about how they keep track of wins and losses at training camp. This is bonkers. Listen to this.
Get out there and run and play after play. And that's really all you can do at the end of the day. Try to get some continuity. And what I like about it is that everything's charted as far as every drill. And at the end of the day, you see who wins, offense or defense. So that's what I like about it. Defense won yesterday. So I think offense may have won today, but I'll know tonight for sure. So.
Is that new for you guys here?
Yeah, it's new. So I like it. I mean, everything we do is competition.
I never heard of them logging who wins and loses, like training camp, defense, offense, anything like that. I remember interviewing Alshon Jeffrey last year, or 2 years ago rather, and the first day of training camp, he said he kicked the defense's ass. He said, offense kicked the defense's ass today, man. And I'm like, they can't even hit you yet. But apparently it's a totally different story now. Much more competitive. And apparently the defense can hit you. This is Jonathan Gannon, the new defense coordinator of the Philadelphia Eagles, talking about how physical these shorts and shells these shorts and shells training camp sessions are. Look at this.
I think that's just part of how we're going to play. And it's actually awesome because we obviously have an offensive head coach, and he believes in it. So, a lot of people out there that are offensive head coaches, they don't want to see that. And Nick believes that that's the best thing for the team, the offense and the defense. So he allows us to do that. Now we got to clean it up because we don't want guys on the ground at times. But on defense, we're going to play with a stinger, and I'm not going to take that stinger away.
I'm not going to take that stinger away. We're going to play with a stinger on defense. I'll tell you, I think the press conference was about 25 minutes. I watched all 25 minutes of the Jonathan Gannon press conference. And let me tell you something. I use this term a lot, but I really mean it this time. I'm smitten. I like Jonathan Gannon. I like Jonathan Gannon a lot. I think Jonathan Gannon is going to be a lot of fun. If this defense is even middle of the road, I think Jonathan Gannon is going to be. First off, I know a lot of people are already ready to move on from Jim Schwartz. But the way this guy conducted his press conference, the way he likes to run his practices, the fact that Nick Sirianni is cool with how he runs the defensive side of the ball, in terms of how aggressive he is, I think we're going to love that in Philadelphia. You get a physical defense, one that wants to take the football away, one that practices that as much as Jonathan Gannon likes to practice that with this defense. He's going to make a lot of people in Philadelphia happy. If this is a hard-hitting, turnover-forcing defense, oh, man, Philadelphia, they will be smitten as well with Jonathan Gannon. It's one press conference. It's 25 minutes. It's 2 training camp sessions. I'm not getting crazy here, but I'm just saying if. The mindset's there. I think the attitude is there. I think if you're able to give a type of defense to Philadelphia like they always crave, that Brian Dawkins, Jim Johnson-esque defense that's always aggressive, always trying to take the ball away, that type of defense, not even top tier. I'm not comparing in terms of success rate. I'm just talking in terms of style. Oh, man, Philadelphia's going to love them some Jonathan Gannon. So I found it very interesting that Miles Sanders, Lane Johnson, and Jonathan Gannon all talked about the competitive nature of the first 2 training camp sessions. What I do find a little bit disturbing here, Dallas Goedert has a big opportunity to take the reins here as the number 1 tight end on this football team, especially if Zach Ertz does, in fact, end up getting traded. Failed his endurance test. So he's really got nothing for you so far. Jalen Reagor also failed his endurance test. If you remember yesterday, he was just in sneakers, or 2 days ago was just in sneakers. He's also dealing with the loss of one of his close friends, unfortunately. So he's got a lot going on, and hopefully in the next couple of days, they'll be able to pass that test, get out there, and get some things done on the football field. I did love seeing when Dave Zangaro will tell us all about it in a second, but I did love seeing the news that was out there about Devontae Smith and Jalen Hurts connecting on like an 80-yard bomb. We'll let you hear a little bit more from Miles Sanders later in the show. And we'll also let you hear, again, from Lane Johnson. We'll let you hear from Miles Sanders on the screen game and how that's going to have a big impact on this offense. We might be seeing that even more so than we have in years past under Doug Peterson, which would be great. Missed that screen game, and I think Miles Sanders is just the guy to run that play. And then you're also going to be talking about Lane Johnson being the leader of this offensive line. Him and Jason Kelce taking the reins. Lane Johnson, this is his first year without Jason Peters. And he talked about how weird it was with him kind of being the elder statesman as the exterior lineman, the outside lineman there, the tackles. He said it's really weird to not be looking around and seeing Jason Peters, to see Jason Peters, to look around and not see Jason Peters anymore. He said it kind of feels like, well, he made an interesting comparison. We'll let you hear from him in a minute. And Jalen Mills, Miles Sanders also talked about the chemistry between Devontae Smith and Jalen Hurts early on in training camp and all the work they put in the offseason, how it's coming to fruition. Let's get to probably the happiest news of the day yesterday. Now, I know a lot of people are disappointed Ben Simmons wasn't traded. I know a lot of people would have been euphoric if you got the 4th overall pick, or if you got 2 first-rounders, 2 early picks from the Warriors. Wasn't going to happen. But maybe what made you jump off your seat was after the Phillies lost Game 1 to the Nationals in their doubleheader there. They went out in the second game, and they found themselves down 7-0. 7-0 in the second game by the third inning. Phillies somehow miraculously fought their way back to win in a doubleheader extra inning by a Brad Miller walk-it-off bomb of a grand slam home run to right center field off the facing of the upper deck. Bamboo Brad Miller belted one to right center field off the facing of the second deck. I jumped off my sofa. I saw Aaron Nola draw a wall. I didn't know what was happening yesterday. Like, Alec Boehm was hitting bombs for you as well. You had Aaron Nola come up and draw a walk. Vince Velasquez went up there and got a hit for you. Like, crazy things were happening in this ball game, but the Phillies were making things happen. And you know what? It's maybe it's only taken 2 out of 4 again against the Nationals. However, the Nationals made some big trades, and we'll talk about that more in a second. But the Phillies go out there and they find a way to win. They're 3.5 games out of first place now. The Mets lost yesterday, so the Phillies are picking up a half game in that regard. So the Phillies get a little bit of a break in that regard. But then the rest of the NL East, including the Braves and the Mets, maybe not so much the Marlins, but the Braves, the Mets, and the Phillies all catch the same break, in that the Nationals said, come and get it, rest of the Major League Baseball. Come and get it. Dealing Schwarber, dealing Scherzer, dealing Trey Turner. So the Nationals, they ain't looking so hot nowadays. Now the Phillies, they come back, they get the win, walk-off win. That's great, awesome, love it, love every second of it. But still, they got to go on a nice little winning streak here. And the Phillies are going to face the Nationals, checks notes, 7 more times before the season lets out. So, yeah, sure, those are 7 more wins. Let's just chalk up those 7 wins right now. Let's hope that's the way it goes down. I'll cross my fingers for that. So the Phillies, now they go to face the Pittsburgh Pirates. Still, today is the MLB trade deadline, so we'll be monitoring that throughout the day. I'll be doing my best while I'm on my flight to Colorado. Hopefully that goes down, and the trade deadline goes down, and we're able to look at the Phillies making some major acquisitions. Chris Bryant still out there, still available. Rodriguez is available from Pittsburgh. Barrios is available also from Minnesota. These are all guys that could come in and help. Craig Kimbrell, obviously available. Phillies, we'll see what they have left in the cupboard. I know Juan Marchand was one of those guys. Rafael Marchand, was one of the guys that is being rumored to be dangled out there right now. If you're talking Kimbrel, if you're talking Chris Bryant, Marchand can, hope he enjoyed his time in Philadelphia. I'm hoping the Phillies make that big move. I would love to see them make that big, aggressive move to really show the good people of Philadelphia that they are really after winning the NL East. Not just maybe competing for a wild card or anything like that, but taking the NL East. And I'll cross my fingers that it actually happens today. And I hope you people listening to this, you people watching this right now, I hope the Phillies are able to give that to you. So let's cross our fingers that it actually happens today. That by the time the trade deadline goes down, somebody will be on this Phillies roster making you feel pretty damn good about the Phillies' future here in Philadelphia. Let me tell you about my good friend Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. Do what I do, ladies and gentlemen. Go to Steven Singer for all your big purchases, all your big diamond purchases, your big jewelry purchases. The other corner of 8th and Walnut right in Philadelphia. Or at IHateStevenSinger.com. Steven likes to make sure he takes away all the excuses saying, oh, it's too expensive. I can't buy the ring. It's too expensive. I don't know how to negotiate. No, Steven says, forget about that. Come on in every single day. Perfect price. That's how he takes care of people. You walk in, you know you're getting the perfect price. You know you're getting great quality. You're getting a great quality diamond. You're getting what you want because a real jewelry expert's going to walk you through everything to make sure you get what you want. You tell them what you like, you describe it, they'll bring you 10 examples, and you'll have those to pick from, and they'll help you do that as well. Some people, it's tough to make a decision. I know my wife, last time we went there for a nice purchase, she had a tough time making a decision. But fortunately, our real jewelry expert was standing by, just helping her out with everything, doing a fantastic job. So do what I do. Go to I Hate Steven Singer, the other corner of 8th and Walnut, or IHateStevenSinger.com. Every single day at IHateStevenSinger.com. Fast and free shipping, and every single day the perfect price. So you don't have to worry about walking in there thinking you missed a sale at some point. Every day is the sale because there's no markup. You don't have to worry about negotiating. It's taken care of every single day. Steven Singer Jewelers, the other corner of 8th and Walnut, or IHateStevenSinger.com. Without further ado, we're going to get to my good friend Dave Zangaro of NBC Sports Philadelphia and the My Teams app joining us here on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line. Joining us right now on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line from NBC Sports Philadelphia, and you can check out his latest article on the My Teams app as well as NBC Sports Philadelphia right now. You can check it out. Eagles training camp observations, deep ball from Hurts to Smith. Highlights of day 2 from Dave Zangaro. Dave, what's happening, brother?
Not much, man. We're back. I love training camp so much.
Really do.
I've become like a little machine in training camp because it's so – I actually like the structure of it, and I actually don't like that these practices are a little later. I like the early morning ones, but I get into a rhythm, and I'm already – day 2, I'm in the rhythm. I like it. I really do.
You not only like training camp, you love like the 90th and like the 91st guy on the roster. Like that, those are the guys that I know you always flock to and gravitate to.
I mean, to me, those guys have a more intriguing story than the best players. Right now, I mean, they're not playing football games. So
right. I
know Fletcher Cox is going to be on the roster. I don't know about Obi Melifonwu. I want to learn about these guys. And some of them have really cool stories. So yeah, that's what I missed about not having real OTAs for me is like, that's normally a time where once you get to training camp, you kind of have to focus on the stories that really matter. So I miss OTAs for that reason.
You are a storyteller by definition, my friend, no doubt. So a couple of guys addressed the media today. One was Miles Sanders. I know there's a bunch of stuff that actually happened at practice today. But one of the guys that addressed the media was Miles Sanders. Any indication in the very early goings about what Nick Sirianni plans to do with Miles Sanders? Will he be featured more than he was in Doug Peterson's system? Did you get that impression when he addressed the media today? What did you get out of Miles Sanders in the first 2 days of training camp?
Yeah, I mean, even aside from what we've seen so far, I think it's pretty obvious. I think this coaching staff is going to be a good thing for him. And it's weird in a way because he was so close to Deuce Staley. I mean, he considers him like a father figure. So I think that took some adjusting, getting a new coach in there. And he likes Jamal Singleton, but it's different for him. It's not Deuce. But having a head coach that I think he can kind of rely on, knowing that he's going to stick with the run a little bit more, it's really going to be beneficial to Miles. And not just running the football, but I think we're also going to see an emphasis on the screen game with Nick Sirianni's offense, which is a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
They need to work on it, of course. The screen game was weird. Under Doug Peterson, that was like the best hint that the offense was firing on all cylinders, because in order to have a good screen game, everything needs to kind of click into place. There's a lot of moving parts. And if one thing gets screwed up on a screenplay, if one person screws up their assignment, the whole thing gets busted. So that was always a tell for Doug's offense. You could tell if they start hitting screenplays, all of a sudden you're like, okay, they've got it figured out today. I think there's going to be more emphasis from Sirianni. I think he's going to try to make sure that screens, and I mean halfback screens and bubble screens to receivers and tight ends, a big emphasis of Sirianni is going to be get the ball in his playmakers' hands and let them create. And I think that bodes really well for Miles Sanders. The biggest thing for him is, well, there's two things. One is health. He missed too many games last year. He was hurt already by this time last year. So health is a big deal. He only played 12 games last season. Second is consistency, because we've seen him do everything in the league at a high level. We've just never seen him do everything at the same time. So a lot of that's on him. He needs to, and he talked about some of this stuff today, he needs to shore up his hands. He needs to become a better receiver, needs to focus a little bit more. And pass protection last year, he wasn't very good. And it was kind of surprising. I felt like he took a step back in pass protection and in being a receiver last year, whereas I thought he was actually a better runner than he was his entire rookie season. So he has to put it all together. And I think he has the ability to, and I think this coaching staff will give him a better chance to do that than the last one.
One of the things you mentioned for the screen game is the offensive line. All the things that can go wrong, it starts at the offensive line, and I know it always does, but Brandon Brooks already missing a little bit of time with a hamstring injury. Any more light there? How concerned should we be?
Yeah, I mean, it's not ideal for your Pro Bowl right guard coming off a lost season to get hurt in day two, especially when he's 31 years old, and there's already questions about whether or not he can stay healthy. But early word is it was precautionary test, precautionary examination. So we'll see what happens. They're certainly not going to rush him back if that hamstring's not okay. So I'd anticipate. I'd be kind of shocked, even if it is really minor, if he'd be out there the next day of practice. Why would you rush him back? Let him take his time, let him heal, because there's still a lot of time here left in the summer. We still have the joint practices coming up, still have preseason games coming up. There's a lot of time. So it's never a good thing to have a guy get hurt. But if it's a minor hamstring injury that happens this early, at least he'll have some time to heal up and make sure it's really right before you put him back out there. Because a hamstring, I think really more than any other injury, even any of the other soft tissue injuries, maybe the calf, the hamstring's one that it can linger if you try to come back too early. And it happens a lot. Guys will try to come back from a hamstring too early and they tweak it and all of a sudden they're back going through it again. So I think the emphasis should be to make sure he's completely healthy before putting him back out there. And that's frustrating for fans and it's frustrating for the team because they just went a year without this great player, but they have to make sure he's right before putting him back out there.
A couple more on the offensive side of the football. One, you were kind enough to give us this video. Look at that right there. Super Bowl, baby. Now, you mentioned in your observations there was a deep ball from Hurts to Devontae Smith. That obviously wasn't it. So how did those two look in the early goings? I understand Devontae Smith, not a strong first day. Bounce back on the second day?
A little bit. I mean, he's still figuring it out. He's had his ups and downs, but there's no question that he's talented. And I think that eventually that's going to come through a little bit more. First couple of days, he's actually dropped a few balls, which is really uncharacteristic for him. I think that's probably a lot swirling in his brain. And once he gets past that, I have no doubts that he'll be a really sure-handed receiver. He had one today on a drill. And the one thing I really like about watching him in individual drills is how he attacks the football. It's fun to watch because it's easy, especially in those drills, because no one's going to knock it away, to kind of be more passive and let the ball come to you. He's attacking it every time. He's going up, using his hands to catch the football. And I like to see that. Today he dropped one. It would have been a really great catch, and it was right near me. I have a video of it. I didn't put it out there. But Yeah, he has something, and the deep ball today was fun to watch. It was on 7-on-7, and he had Steven Nelson on him. He's been seeing a lot of Nelson and even more of Slay, which will really help him. But he beat Steven Nelson on a go route. Devontae pumped, and then he threw a beautiful pass right on the money, in stride, and it was a long touchdown, probably 50, 60 yards. And that's Smith. Look, he doesn't have Henry Ruggs speed. He doesn't have, what you think of as like that track speed.
Right.
He has long speed. He has, he can separate because he's a long strider, and that was evident on this play.
I hate comparisons, but I know the name that's been thrown out there a lot is Marvin Harrison. Not the speediest guy in the world, but just knew how to run.
Yeah. There's something about a guy like that who's undersized too. And that was a long time ago, but
yeah, right.
Marvin Harrison had those knocks on him too. And it's funny, we always compare these guys to Hall of Famers, but there's some of that, and I get why that's been a popular comparison, because undersized guy, and he doesn't really do anything particularly well. You know who he reminds me of a little bit, and I covered him early in his career, was DeAndre Hopkins.
Okay.
Because when Nuke came out of college, there wasn't like one thing he did exceptionally well. He had great hands. But even like he wasn't the fastest guy, he wasn't the biggest guy, he wasn't the strongest guy, and he fell down draft boards a little bit. He was the 27th pick, and even with his speed, it was funny. He was more in his head about it than Devontae. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins had to kind of prove to himself that he was fast enough to be in the NFL, but so they're not the same player, but there's some similarities, because
Understood.
It's a guy who doesn't necessarily excel in one area, or a lot of the first round receivers do. There's one thing, or at least physically, because Devontae does excel in certain areas, but he doesn't check any of those like big physical boxes. He's not a monster. He's obviously slender. He's not super fast, but he runs really precise routes. He's sure-handed, and he has a knack for understanding defenses, understanding space. He has really good spatial awareness.
Okay.
I think that's a good way to put it. He understands where he's supposed to be, but he also understands how to play defensive backs. He's wise beyond his years, and we're already seeing that with him and Slay. There's a lot of talk with them after practice, and Slay giving him tips, Devontae telling him what he sees. And those little things are really important for a guy who might not have the separation speed that Devontae has. So if you give me a guy who doesn't have the top end speed, doesn't have the huge size, but you tell me he can run great routes, he understands how to get open, I'm okay with that.
All right. I like that. Spatial awareness. We'll start printing up those T-shirts. I like
that's
that.
Something that's a Zach Ertz thing. That's a phrase I started using with Zach Ertz, because he's another guy who just always had this great knack for knowing where to sit down in a route and finding the hole in the defense, and obviously different positions. And Devontae's not sitting down as much as Zach does as a tight end, but it's the same kind of thing. He understands how to exploit a defense, where to go exactly, and he's precise with it.
It's interesting you mentioned Houston, which is when you spent time and covered Nuke, DeAndre Hopkins, and then you just mentioned Zach Ertz, and it's almost as if I sent you the questions ahead of time, which I did not, because I'm a journalist, damn it. Anyway, I wanted to ask
though. I want to make that clear.
Yeah, I did not. Exactly. So I was going to ask you about Houston, another guy in Houston, Deshaun Watson. I was going to ask you about Zach Ertz.
Who's that?
I was going to tie it in with this.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I read your 53-man roster, your early predictions, right? And I saw that Zach Ertz was not on that roster, but I also saw that Deshaun Watson was not on that roster. So explain yourself, please, and show your homework.
I understand that Howie came out and said Zach's going to be here. I
don't believe it either. For the record, I don't believe it either.
Yeah, it's tough for me to buy that. And maybe he will be, because look, I think they would be a better football team with Zach on the roster, but at what cost? Because not only are you talking about a lot of cap space to keep him, but he's also going to block Dallas Goedert from ascending to be the true number one. I think Dallas would still be the number one. I think he would get more snaps, more opportunity, but I don't want to see him limited at all because of Zach.
Right.
I want to see a full season of Dallas Goedert because they're going to have to pay this guy too. And I don't know if Zach wants that. I don't know why he would. I mean, I don't know what the opportunities elsewhere are going to be for him, but it's hard for me to believe that after over a year of these two sides clashing, bickering, clashing, whatever you want to call it, that all of a sudden, things are fine. Zach shows up with bleach blonde hair and they're good to go. I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
Did Dave Zangaro ever go through a frosted tips phase, a bleach blonde hair?
I mean, I've never had hair long enough to do it. I mean, if I bleached blonded my hair, you think it was bald. I have no idea.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. Yeah. But
all right. Okay.
Zach Ertz, though. So he's such an emotional player, and we know that, and that's not a bad thing. He plays with emotion. He lives with emotion in football. All of a sudden, things are fine. Not buying it. I'm just not. And and I'm not saying like Dave wants Zach Ertz out of here. Zach Ertz is an all-time great Eagle. I mean, it's a shame that he wasn't able to, at least not yet, to break the all-time reception record. But that's not a reason to keep him either. So to me, it just still makes too much sense to trade him. And why would Howie say anything other than that when he talks to the media? I mean, he says that because he doesn't want to give up. This is my conspiracy theory on. He doesn't want to give up any last little bit of leverage he might have to try to trade this guy. Because if you come out, you obviously can't come out and say, "Hey, I'm trying to trade him."
Right.
Then there's no illusion that he might be here. And then why? So you see how it works. And this is the way a lot of things work.
Of course. And then also the other name in that the question was Deshaun Watson. Who do you think starts? And this is the question I'm asking everybody. Who starts more games for the Eagles next year, this upcoming regular season? Jalen Hurts, Joe Flacco, or Deshaun Watson? Who do you think starts the most games?
I appreciate the accidental Flacco. It's Jalen Hurts.
Wow. Okay. All right. Now, why does this go against the grain with everything else?
Well, it's not really against the grain because I do believe there's serious interest in Deshaun Watson. I just have such a hard time believing that the Eagles are going to be in a situation where they feel comfortable trading for this guy right now. There's a lot going on with him, Mark. I don't know. And look, if you're just talking about the football player,
yes.
I mean, no brainer. Honestly, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He's a top 5 quarterback, and he's a 25-year-old guy entering the prime of what might be a Hall of Fame career. So the Eagles would be idiotic, even right now with all of his legal situation going on. They'd be idiotic not to at least look into it.
Sure.
But I don't know how you trade away whatever it's going to be, if 2 first round, 3 first, whatever it is. I don't know how you trade that away with this situation left unsettled. It's really risky to me because right now there's civil cases, but if there end up being criminal, if there's criminal charges at some point, then you've traded for. I think there's just too much, and I know the Eagles obviously have more information on it than I do. They've been doing their homework as they should. If you have any interest in a guy with a situation like this, you have to really look into it. And I'm just talking about getting a football player to play football. This is without any thought from me, at least. They're obviously thinking about what it means for the organization, how it looks for the organization. How can they reconcile bringing in a guy like this with so much swirling around him? So for all those reasons, I still think Jalen Hurts is going to be the quarterback this year, but that doesn't mean they're not interested, and that doesn't mean that Jalen Hurts is going to be the quarterback next year.
In all honesty, Dave, I hope you're right. I'm hoping they don't trade for Deshaun Watson. I'm hoping they do the 1-year audition with Jalen Hurts, see how he does, hold on to those possibly 3 first-round picks, and then they go from there. So that's where I'm at as far as that's concerned. I do want to ask you 2 more things. One thing about the defense. Jonathan Gannon addressed the media today. You've obviously seen the defense for 2 days. Any early impressions there you could share with us about the new Eagles defensive coordinator and the scheme he wants to run?
He's almost showing so much that he's showing nothing in a way, because there's been and I think in a way that's kind of what we're going to see from his defense this year. I like Jonathan Gannon. I think the Eagles made a really good hire at DC. I think he's a guy who would have been a DC elsewhere if he wasn't here. And I'm starting to get that. He's a really smart guy. They're going to be really multiple. And that's a kind of a buzzword in the NFL and all football. But they're going to have a lot of different packages for different players, and they're going to mix and match a lot. Whereas under Jim Schwartz, say what you want about him, I thought Jim was a solid coordinator given what he had. It was pretty much, this is our defense, this is what we're going to run, and that's it. I think we're seeing, at least right now, Gannon's probably playing around a little bit with combinations and seeing things, but he's already shown some 3-man fronts, which was a clear no-no under Jim Schwartz. It was 4 men, quasi wide 9, get upfield, get at the quarterback. It's going to be somewhere in between that, I think, with Gannon, and he's going to move guys around. Milton Williams, a rookie, already playing inside, outside. There might be a stand-up edge rusher, not stand-up edge rusher, or stand-up pass rusher / off-the-ball linebacker position that would be like a Joe Osman, Jannard Avery, Patrick Johnson, one of those guys. So he's toying around with a lot of different things. He talked today about Darius Slay will be in man coverage at times. I think they're going to run some zone, a lot of zone. I think they're going to run a lot of cover too. I think it's going to be kind of when Jonathan Gannon said he didn't have a scheme, I kind of rolled my eyes a little bit earlier in the spring because he obviously has a scheme. They're learning something right now. They're learning plays. But what I think he meant by that was that you're not going to just see the same thing from this defense game after game, play after play. If he gets them to a point where they really have a good grasp of everything in the playbook, it could be a lot of fun to watch because they really could change what they do dependent upon the matchups they see. And I think that's the wisest way to do it. He brought up the Rams today a little bit and how multiple they were last year. I don't think the Eagles are going to be quite like that last year, but I think there's going to be something to it. And right now, I think he's really feeling it out. I think he's trying to figure out exactly what he has. I don't think he was lying about playing to his players' strengths, and I think he's trying to figure out what they are right now.
I love it. Finally, I know you're a man for all season, so I need to ask you this question. At the time that we're recording this, the NBA draft is about to get underway. Will Ben Simmons be a Sixer after tonight?
Oh, you put me on the spot.
I'm putting you on the spot.
I'm going to say no because the NBA is going crazy right now.
They absolutely are.
I'm trying to write like Eagles stories, and I check Twitter. Everyone, I'm like, whoa, what's going on? It's been a weird sports day. And when I'm at training camp, I see none of it. I get back to my phone late at night. I'm like, what happened?
Well, I've heard that the Sixers are interested in this Italian kid. Davio Zangaro, I believe is how you say his name. This is the guy that might.
Cliff?
I can't let you go to the stare down.
That's intense. That's the intensity from that prospect. You love to see it. You love to see it.
You know what? You took it harder to the rim than Ben Simmons did in 3 minutes, 30 seconds left against the Hawks in Game 7. Not for nothing, Dave. Not for nothing. I'm going to find an excuse to play that no matter what.
I respect that, and I hope you shoehorn it in every time we speak.
It's going to be like the Mac and Me clip, I think, that Paul Rudd would always play on Conan. Anyway, Dave Zangaro, NBC Sports Philadelphia. Again, check out his latest article up there right now on the My Teams app, as well as NBCSportsPhiladelphia.com. Eagle Eye Podcast as well. Don't miss that with the great Dave Zangaro. Dave, always great catching up with you, brother. Thanks so much.
Thanks, buddy. Take care.
See ya. My thanks once again to Dave Zangaro for coming on. It is Mac and Me, right? That's what Paul Rudd would always play on Conan. The alien guy. I don't know. I've never seen it. I've only seen the clip that he repeatedly shows on Conan, or used to when Conan was on the air. Yeah, I'll work that in every single time. I like that Dave knew it. I like that Dave knew exactly where I was going with that. And how about that? Dave was right. I'm pretty sure if I recall correctly, he said Ben Simmons would still be on the Sixers. Pretty sure. And how about this? Dave Zangaro, the first person to come on this program since all hell broke loose with the Deshaun Watson news in terms of, the Eagles are definitely going to get him if he's traded and all that stuff. And all. Dave says, no, you hold your horses there. Jalen Hurts will be the starting quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles. Jalen Hurts will be the starting quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles for the entire season. And they're not going to make the deal for Deshaun Watson because the whole deal is completely toxic. And yes, you do have to factor in. It's not just a football decision. You have to factor in all the off-the-field issues, and there's a lot of issues. It's not just a he said, she said type of moment that makes you question some things. It's possibly 24 people saying this guy's a scumbag. It's unreal. I would love for the Eagles to stay away from it. I'd love for the Eagles to get their 3 first-round picks. I'd love for Jalen Hurts to be the quarterback of the Eagles for the next 20 years. Love for that to happen. Not betting on it, but I'm rooting for it. I'm hoping for it. I think that's the right decision, especially right now when you don't know what you're going to be getting in Deshaun Watson. You're going to trade 3 first-round picks? You're going to trade your second-round pick from a year ago? Yeah, no thanks. I'd rather hold on to that and see how it works out here. And maybe with those 3 first-round picks, you can do something else next year. Because guess what? It's not like it's not like those 3 first-round picks are expiring. They go into next year. And then come the draft day, guess what you can do with three first-round picks? Anything you want. Once again, my thanks to Dave Zangaro joining us on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line. Always good checking in with Dave. Also, Rothman Orthopaedics, they want to say this. Do you remember the old you who didn't have to put up with a fickle knee, a finicky hip, or a shoulder that no longer does what a shoulder should do? The Rothman Orthopaedics approach is here to get you back to being you. Back to running, walking, working, and playing. Back to living your life the way you want. With same-day appointments available, you can start today at RothmanOrtho.com. That's RothmanOrtho.com. Rothman Orthopaedics, the official orthopedic partner for your Phillies, Eagles, and Sixers. And how about Steak and Maine? SteakandMaine.com, Northeast Maryland. Whether you dine in the more upscale steakhouse or casual bar and patio, you'll enjoy the highest quality of prime meats, fresh seafood, world-class oyster bar, and freshly prepared sushi. All that and an extensive wine list that includes Cavada Cellars wines. You know what I'm going to tell you? 2-pound tomahawk steak, Pinot Noir. Cavada Cellars wines, Pinot Noir. Treat yourself. Open every day for lunch, dinner, and Sunday brunch. Steak and Maine in the heart of Northeast Maryland, voted #1 place for steaks in America by the Travel Channel and the Cooking Channel. Check it out for yourself. Go to steakandmaine.com for more information. And how about our friends at PHL Sports Nation? PHL Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across social media platforms, blogs, covering all your Philadelphia sports events. So make sure you follow them, PHLSportsNation.com. Let's jump into our social media check-in, brought to you by Steak and Maine at steakandmaine.com. Everyone there in the comments is going to be a little bit different today because I have this from yesterday. I showed it to you earlier in the program. This.
Hi.
I just want to give you my favorite response. There's 2 things here. First one. Everyone in the pool is safe, as we all know he isn't going to dunk. Hey-o! That is from George Lee. Way to go, George Lee. I appreciate you. Let's see here. Tyler, really working hard on those free throws. See, that's the thing. I'm telling you right now, I don't want him working on the free throws. I want him doing nothing this offseason because all it's going to matter is what he does during the regular season. And he still ain't going to be here. But when he comes back for the regular season, if he is here, that's all that's going to matter to me. Hey, if you paid me $30 million to be garbage, I'd be chilling too. Oh, come on. Ashier Sports. People are mean. Shake my head. Why don't you shoot? Michael. You know what? I knew it wasn't going to, bring in good responses. But I just figured when I saw Ben Simmons pop up in my stories on the old IG, the old Gram, right? The old Insta, I saw it and I wonder what he's up to. And sure enough, he was up to pretty much what I thought he'd be, which was not practicing, which is fine. And he was just kind of lounging in the pool. Let's see here. Grubhouse Philly. There's literally nothing about this guy I like. Thank you, Grubhouse. Zeke tweeted in saying, Why don't nobody want me with Ben's face superimposed over Will Smith in that famous scene from Fresh Prince. There was one more that I really enjoyed. Oh, there's not even a basketball hoop in the pool. Pool basketball is where it's at. Am I wrong? Little pool basketball? One more thing with social media check-in before we move into our morning rush here. This comes courtesy of our good friend Dan, and for you fine people that wanted this. Remember, there was a request during yesterday's show for this, and it's because I protect my good friend Mike Sealski. Let's make it 5 days in a row.
Dan and everybody in the chat, I am not an animal.
Okay. All right. Dan Schwartz went ahead and took us up on our offer, and know what he did? He did superimpose. He did Photoshop, almost like a cartoonish type of vibe to it. Me holding an umbrella as J.J. Arcega-Whiteside's mom over Mike Sealski. Is that not haunting? Is that? Let's get a closer look. Go! What? I guess that's supposed to be Sealski? And that's me? Sort of? Well, this is what you call nightmare fuel, folks. Dan, thank you very much. And I think, Dan, to go back to the original tweet here, this is creepy. Yes, Dan, it is creepy. What's even creepier is me thinking of you making that in your windowless van. That's what's so creepy about it. That was our social media check-in brought to you by Steak and Maine and steakandmaine.com. Let's move it all into our morning rush brought to you by Sky Motorcars and skymotorcars.com. This has got me a little excited here. I can't wait to see the Eagles offense in a screen opportunity. I can't wait for the Eagles offense to get into a screen game again. That home run hitter, Miles Sanders, I think he can be that guy for you. You heard Dave Zangaro talk about how Miles Sanders highlighted how he needs to make sure that he improves upon that part of his game. Here's Miles Sanders making all you people like myself that are really excited to see that Brian Westbrook-esque screen game maybe come back to the Eagles offense.
It's pretty much the same. It's just cleaning that up because last year we weren't pretty successful in a screen game, and that's a big part of our game too, comparing it to my rookie year. And it all starts from the O-line timing with the blocks, and then with us being out of landmarks and Jalen, with his eyes, it all comes together. But so far they've been pretty good, just trying to get those right because that's going to be a big part of our offense.
Let's fix that problem. I need to see that screen game. I'm craving the screen game from the Eagles. Miles Sanders, another kind of want to play from you. I got two more from training camp. One is Miles Sanders again. The other is Lane Johnson talking about his boy, Jason Peters. This is interesting. Miles Sanders, and you saw the little out route. Do I still have it or did I get rid of it? I got rid of it. You saw a little out route they ran with Devontae Smith. Apparently there was a big 80-yard pass to Devontae Smith from Jalen Hurts, and Miles Sanders reacted to that, saying that that's exactly what fans want. And then he also went on to talk about chemistry and how hard these guys are working on the offensive end to make sure they have that chemistry with a guy who's going into his sophomore NFL season in Jalen Hurts.
Offense can do this kind of stuff?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's what the fans want to see. That's what we drafted him for. We know he can run, but that's not all he can do. He can definitely catch in traffic. He's a skinny guy, but he got strong hands. But I like the way he works. He doesn't say too much. Reminded me of myself when I came in my rookie year. Just kept his head down and just worked. I like the approach that he's taking.
Do you see the chemistry between those two? They played together a little bit at Alabama and stuff like that. They worked a little bit in the offseason, but do you see some, I would say instant chemistry, but do you see something there?
Yeah, definitely. Honestly, I see instant chemistry between them two, honestly. And they're used to playing with each other at Alabama, and I know they got plenty of work in the offseason too. Just like me and Jalen got plenty of work. Me, Boston, Jalen got plenty of work. Working out with Dallas too. Got some working with Zach. We got a lot of work in the offseason. So the chemistry's there. It's just putting it all together here on the field.
I'm really rooting for Jalen Hurts. I don't think he's going to be the quarterback going forward, but I mean, he might start however many games he can before Deshaun Watson comes. But I'm really rooting for him. I mean, he's said and done everything right. And I know last year it wasn't like he was some Pro Bowl candidate or anything like that. It was no phenom by any means. But as I've said 1,000 times, if there's ever a year to grade somebody on a curve, especially a rookie quarterback, last year would have been that year. especially in a season where he's getting plays here and there, and especially in a season where he was thrown into the mix at the very end, where your franchise quarterback was obviously not having a franchise quarterback type of year. So that's just insane. I look forward to him getting the opportunity, and I really hope he does get the opportunity to play some football for this team this season. Finally, I want to close with this, with Lane Johnson. Lane Johnson, every year, he's had Jason Peters. And last year, he didn't think he was going to have Jason Peters, and all of a sudden, Jason Peters was back. Now Lane Johnson is the elder statesman with a lot of these guys, and he says he feels, well, maybe a little bit like a babysitter now with all the young guys in this room.
Feels weird, my first year not being here with him, but really just with everything I do, I'm the older guy now, so I feel like I'm, kind of running daycare a little bit part-time. But no, man, I just try to show them, by working hard and helping them out as much as I can. So, I really liked it. Same thing with Kelson and Brooks doing the same thing. So, just trying to pass on what I learned, from JP and some of the older guys, Todd Harrimans, the Evan Mattis's of the world, and send it on down the line.
That's the weirdest part.
Now, the daycare. All right, Dan, here you go. Here's your next assignment, if you so choose. Less creepy. So a little bit less creepy than this, all right, than this nightmare fuel. Sorry, I had to show it again. Lane Johnson's daycare. I don't know what you call it. Lane's daycare, Bro Barn daycare, whatever it is, where Lane Johnson works out, the Bro Barn. His Bro Barn. It's on his property. Daycare with Jordan Mailata, Andre Dillard. Who else we got here? We got the young guy. We got Landon Dickerson, of course. We got a bunch of young guys on this offensive line. That's what we'll do. Little daycare. Lane Johnson overseeing those guys, running amok, if you will. Lane Johnson also talked about something interesting yesterday about how harsh they are to one another in the offensive line room. Now, everyone breaks stones, right? I mean, that's what guys, that's what people do. We break stones all the time. Apparently, Lane Johnson makes it really difficult where everybody piles on one another in that offensive line room. And he said that when it comes down to Jordan Mailata and Andre Dillard, whoever's going to win that left tackle job, nobody leaves any stone left unbroken in that offensive line room, because they want everyone to kind of stay humble. Even if somebody has a great day, sports has a way of humbling you. And he said yesterday that they really get after each other in that room. Tough love was the way that he termed it. And I think that's the type of room that Jeff Stoutland likes to keep. But if Andre Dillard and Jordan Mailata are going to be duking it out for that starting left tackle position, and you got everybody in the offensive line room ragging on each other at the same time, hey, man, let the best man win. Because if you're coming out of that room still feeling like you can get some thick skin, build up that callus, build up a mental toughness, man, I can't think of a better room to have that mental toughness and that callus start to add up than one with Lane Johnson in it, one with Brandon Brooks in it, hamstring injury, as you heard Dave Zangaro say, and one with Jason Kelsey, Brandon Brooks, and some of the other personalities they have in that room already, Lane Johnson most importantly. So we'll cross our fingers that somebody makes it out and starts playing some great left tackle. My money's on Jordan Mailata. I think that's the guy that takes it running away. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed the show today. I'm off to Colorado with the family. I'll be checking in with you guys. I'll keep you posted on social media, on Twitter, probably the best way in terms of what we're planning. We're going to have some best of material going on. I'm going to try to give you some fresh content at least 3 times next week, but I'll make sure I keep you guys posted on everything. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Jim Hyden produced the program, did a fine job. This is a Buzz Sports and Entertainment production. My name's Marc Farzetta. Please, Phillies, when I check back with you guys on Monday morning, please let us have a new Philly that'll help this team win ball games. Please. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Have a great weekend, everybody. Talk to you on Monday. Take it easy.